This is the new Range Rover Velar, and it's the SUV you're going to want if you want to look super stylish. I mean, look at it. It's a big car, but it looks absolutely amazing. Thing is though, style, yeah, it doesn't come cheap. So the Velar starts at £45,000, but had some options, upgrade the engine, and it soon mounts up. This one, this V6 diesel with all the kit on it, £75,000. So if you click up there, go to carwow.co.uk, you can configure your ideal car online. You'll then get offers back from dealers and you'll be able to compare prices and make sure that you're buying at the right price for you. Now, on the inside, the stylish theme certainly continues with this Velar. I mean, look at this. I do really like what Land Rover has done with the inside of this car. Now this is the HSE version, so you get extra soft leather. You also get leather on the top of the doors and on the top of the dash, so it does feel very premium in here. Also, it's the R dynamic, and that adds various sporty bits of trim. I mean, look at it, it's just lovely. It's absolutely glorious. Another thing I need to show you though is the dual screen system you have here, which is pretty blooming unique, and I do kind of like it. So as you saw then, it tilts towards you when you turn it on, and you can control most of the normal infotainment functions on this top screen here. So you have your Bluetooth, you've got your media, you've got your navigation up there, and your camera surround system if you've got it selected as an option. And then down here, you control other functions. So I can go through the car settings, I can go through the terrain response system, and more about that later. I can control the climate, the seat, so I can blow some air through the seats to cool my bottom and operate the climate, which is nice, it's great. When you're sat still, this thing is blooming amazing. The problem is trying to use it when you're driving. So if you want to go from the vehicle setting to control the climate, you then have to press this button, you then have these dials then operate certain functions, and it's all a little bit awkward to use, and you're having to take your eyes off the road and look down there, which isn't ideal. Now if you want more information on this car's infotainment system, click it there to watch my in-depth video review of it. In terms of the rest of the cabin, well, some of the plastics like here, a little bit cheap feeling. Down here, once again, doesn't feel like a car that costs this much in certain places. Now you might be thinking, why the heck are you touching down there? And that's because you might want to use the door bins. And thankfully, they are good. Look, you can fit a large bottle in the door bins. The glove box is a reasonable size. Other cubby spaces, so there's a little bit of storage under here. Not too much, but there are some USB inputs there and a 12-volt socket. You have a cup holder here, which looks normal. And then there's a square one. And I'm wondering, a square cup holder thing? Then I figured it out. It's for your super trendy coconut water. Look, it's perfect. It's like it's been designed specifically for it. Probably has. And then there's another cup holder just under here. You press the Land Rover button. Most models come with this digital driver's display. You can cycle through different menus. You can change through different views as well, depending on what you want to see. Though I think that the system that you get in an Audi Q7 is just a little bit easier to use. Now let's move on to the back. This particular car is fitted with the optional rear entertainment system. Bizarrely, you control it with this remote control, even though the screen's just there. I mean, this is where you want a touch screen. Why didn't they do that? A touch screen like you'd have in an airplane. Speaking of airplanes, look, you've got airplane style storage folders there. The rear door bins, they're a decent size, and in these ones I've got the headphones for the rear entertainment system. They're quite nice actually. In terms of other cubby spaces, basically all you've got left is this here, a couple of cup holders. Now in here there are the connections for the rear entertainment system and a couple of USB inputs there, though you can charge mobile phones down here if you want to using that 12-volt socket, and there's controls for the rear climate control system here as well. More important though is how much space there is back here. So if you look, you can see I've got plenty of room. Headroom's really good, knee room's really good as well. But there is one problem. The runners for the seats in front eat into the footwell, so you don't actually have all that much room for your feet. And if you need to carry three in the back, the body of this car is quite wide, so there is a bit of shoulder room for three people. The issue is that the centre seat is quite narrow and quite raised up. So it's not the best for the person in the middle. But overall, space in here is pretty good. Though if there is one problem, it is that somehow it just feels a little bit dark and dingy in here. SUVs can be quite light and airy in the back, but this one, not so much. Partly because the windows aren't actually all that deep, and that's because of this car's like sloping look to make it look cool. That's style for you, isn't it? Thankfully, the car's sleek design has not affected practicality in terms of boot space. Obviously, the Velar gets an automated tailgate. There's no load lip to lift stuff over, so it's easy to slide things out. Now you might be thinking, wait a minute, look how high this boot is. That's going to be really, really difficult to lift heavy things in. Don't worry, this car's on air suspension. If I press this, I can lower it. And you don't have to lift things quite so high. That's much better. Now I'll just move this load cover out of the way and remove it entirely, which is quite easy to do. Some of these can be an absolute pain and really heavy. This one's not. It's dead easy and nice and light. Now you'll see you've got a huge boot there, and what I can do if I want to carry longer items but still carry 2 rear passengers, I can fold down this centre seat. If I want to put down the other 2, I just pull these levers, all dead simple to do. The load floor isn't completely flat, so there's a bit of a step there, but because it's not the seats that are raised up, you can still push things easily to the front of this big car. And look at the space you've got there, it's absolutely huge. Probably wondering what's under here. A spare wheel. Don't get that on some cars these days, not even on SUVs. Now, if you want some more information about this car's practicality, click up there to watch my detailed practicality video. You'll see how much stuff I can fit in this car's boot and just how easy it is to fit a child seat. Okay then, that's the walk around bit dealt with. Now it's time to see what this car feels like to drive. So the big question for me about the Velar is, does it feel like a proper Range Rover? Does it give you that regal, superior feeling? Yeah. It absolutely does. For driving around towns or villages, you've got that nice high driving position, so you can look down on other traffic, though the way the cockpit swoops around you, it feels more sporty, and the rakish windscreen, that adds to that as well. The only problem is that that rakish windscreen does mean that you get this huge blind spot there. Back window isn't very big either, so actually it can be a little bit tricky to manoeuvre this big old car. Now, if you want to see for yourself what this car's like to drive, click up there to join me for a first-person point of view video test drive. You can get the Velar with 3 petrol engines. There's 2 2-litres and a 3-litre V6 supercharged that's very quick but also quite thirsty. Then there's the diesels, so there's 2 2-litres again, and a 3-litre V6, which is in this car, and it's punchy, it's got good performance, it's pretty smooth. It's not the most economical thing, so I'm averaging 32 miles per gallon, which is, it's all right. I mean, this is a big, heavy car. But yeah, the engine kind of suits it because it's smooth, like I say, and it works well with the 8-speed gearbox, which just slushes gears together. But if you don't want to be fully automatic, you can change gears yourself using the paddles. V6 versions of the Velar come with air suspension as standard, and it's a £1,000 upgrade on the 2-litre cars, and it's well worth having because in comfort mode, the car just seems to float up the road. You do get a little bit of fidgeting around at very low speed, especially if you've got big wheels, such as the 20-inch rims on this car, but it's not too bad. And then when you head out onto the motorway and pick up speed, the car does feel nice and planted, and it's very relaxing to travel in as well, so it's nice and quiet. The only thing you really notice is a bit of wind from those huge door mirrors. Land Rover claim that the Velar is the sportiest Range Rover, but let's be honest, that's not really saying much now, is it? Range Rovers aren't renowned for being particularly sporty. Now, I can put the air suspension into dynamic mode, which stiffens it up a bit. And yeah, it goes around corners all right. It does. It grips the road as well as you need it to, but it does still feel a little bit ponderous and heavy. And if you want something that's genuinely sporty, an SUV, then you want to look at something like a Porsche Macan or an Alfa Stelvio. Now, one of the good things about this being a Range Rover is that if you want to take a shortcut across a field, then you absolutely can. Here, yes. And then you can use the terrain response system, put the car into off-road mode. If you've got the air suspension, it'll raise it up, give you some more ground clearance. And it's even got a sort of cruise control for low-speed off-roading. So you don't really have to do anything. Oh yeah, this is the life. Now then, it's time for the CarWow 5 annoying things about this car. The menus for the digital driver's display are very, very confusing. Also, so is the control system. So you can use it by pressing buttons like that, but this pad is also touch sensitive. So sometimes when you brush it, it moves, and sometimes it doesn't always work. It drives you mad! The touchscreens quickly get covered in greasy fingerprint marks, which you really notice when the displays are off, so you're forever trying to keep them clean and failing. This big centre console intrudes slightly into the footwell, and that means you can't have your left leg quite as far left as you'd like to for maximum comfort. It just feels a bit awkward. Entry-level versions of the Velar do not get leather seats, and they don't get satellite navigation, and that's outrageous at this price. If you need those, you want the S version, but if you want that digital driver's display, you'll need to step up to the SE. And if you want lumbar support on your seats, you need the 20-way electrically adjustable seats, and they're only standard on this range-topping HSE. Considering this is supposed to be a car for stylish people, it's a bit of a miss that this car doesn't seem to have a dedicated sunglasses holder. I'll just put them there. Thankfully, this car has plenty of cool features, which helps make up for all this. Here's 5.
Darling, if you'd rather not have your Velar seats covered in dead animal, you can get a vegan-friendly fabric covering instead, which is actually made from recycled bottles for some added eco-friendly smugness. Bravo.
The door handles remain flush with the car until you go to get in. Cool. Actually, not really cool. The top level Meridian sound system has 23 speakers in total. I mean, even in this door, there's 1, 2, 3. Sounds epic. If you want, you can alter the angle of this screen just as you like it. So if you want, you can put it nice and flush with the dash. There you go, it's neat. The reversing camera has its own little built-in jet wash to help keep it clean. And now I'm soaked. Now, if you click up there, you can go to carwow.co.uk and you can compare the best deals you can get on the Range Rover Velar and get more information on trim levels and various specs. So then, what's my overall verdict on this car? Should you avoid it? Should you consider it? Should you shortlist it? Or should you just go right ahead and buy it? Well, I reckon you should shortlist the Range Rover Velar. You see, it is a really stylish SUV. It's just that it's also rather expensive. If you enjoyed this video, please like it and share it and click on our logo.